ever tried to order food from a neighbor's backyard barbecue, but ended up with a plate of something you didn't want?
Yes, it can be really awkward when you're trying to be polite, but you have no idea what they're saying.
That's why we're going to cover the 5 levels of English listening practice, starting with level 1, basic conversations.
At this level, you'll learn how to introduce yourself and respond to simple questions like "How are you?" or "What's your name?"
One useful phrase to know is "nice to meet you," which is a common way to respond when you're introduced to someone new.
Another phrase is "I'm from city/country," which can help you talk about your background and where you're from.
Now, let's move on to level 2, lower intermediate conversations, where you'll learn how to talk about your daily routine and interests.
For example, you could say "I like to read books in my free time," or "I enjoy playing sports on the weekends."
Pause and guess. What phrase would you use to ask someone about their job or what they do for a living? The answer is "What do you do?" or "What's your job?" These phrases are commonly used to ask about someone's profession or occupation.
Another useful phrase is "I'm a job title," which can help you talk about your own job or profession.
Let's practice using these phrases in a conversation, Liam. Can you start by asking me about my job?
Sure, Emma, what do you do?
I'm a teacher, and I love my job because I get to meet new people and help them learn new things.
That's really cool. I've always been interested in teaching, but I've never had the chance to try it.
Maybe one day you can come observe my class and see what it's like to be a teacher.
That sounds like a great idea. I'll have to take you up on that offer soon.
So, what do you like to do in your free time, Liam?
I like to play sports and hang out with my friends. How about you, Emma?
I like to read books and watch movies. I'm a big fan of science fiction and fantasy.
No way, I love those genres too. What's your favorite book or movie?
I'm a big fan of the Harry Potter series. I've read all the books and seen all the movies.
That's really cool. I've always wanted to read the series, but I've never had the time.
You should definitely check it out. It's a great series, and I think you'd really enjoy it.
I'll have to add it to my list. Thanks for the recommendation, Emma.
No problem. Happy to help. And speaking of help, let's talk about how to ask for help or directions from your neighbors. So, let's say you need to borrow some sugar from your neighbor. That's a great opportunity to practice your level 3 conversation skills, asking for help or favors.
Exactly, and you could say something like, "Hi, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I'm in the middle of baking and I realized I've run out of sugar."
That's a great start, and then your neighbor might say, "Oh, no worries, I've got plenty of sugar, help yourself."
And that's when you could use the phrasal verb lend, as in, "Would you be able to lend me some sugar?"
The phrase "would you be able to" is a polite way of asking for help, and it's perfect for level 3 conversations.
Now let's move on to level 4, where we're going to practice giving and following directions.
For example, if your neighbor asks you how to get to the nearest park, you could say, "If you head down this street, take a left at the traffic lights, and walk for about 10 minutes, you'll see the park on your right."
That's a great example, and notice how Emma used the phrase "head down." That's a common idiom that means to start moving in a certain direction.
And if your neighbor gets lost, they might say, "I'm turned around. Can you give me directions again?"
Being turned around is a great expression that means being confused or disoriented. It's really useful for level 4 conversations.
Now, let's try a role play, Liam. Can you ask me for directions to the nearest grocery store?
Okay, Emma, I'm trying to get to the grocery store, but I'm not sure which way to go. Can you point me in the right direction?
Well, if you make a beeline for the main road, you'll see the grocery store on your left, but first, can you guess the phrase I'm going to use to describe how to get there?
I'm not sure. What's the phrase?
The phrase is "bear left." It means to turn slightly to the left, and it's a really useful phrase for giving directions.
That's a great phrase, and I can see how it would be useful, especially when you're trying to navigate a new neighborhood.
Exactly, and now let's talk about the phrase "cut through," as in, you can cut through the park to get to the grocery store.
That's a great phrase, and it's perfect for level 4 conversations. It means to take a shortcut through a certain area.
And finally, let's practice using the phrase "wind up," as in, if you keep walking down the street, you'll wind up at the grocery store.
I like that phrase. It's really useful, and it means to end up in a certain place, often unexpectedly.
That's right, and now let's try another role play this time. I'll ask you for directions to the nearest coffee shop.
Okay, Emma, the coffee shop is just a short walk from here. If you make your way down the street, you'll see it on your right.
Great, and what does make your way mean in this context?
It means to move or travel in a certain direction, often in a casual or relaxed way.
Exactly, and it's a really useful phrase for giving directions now. Let's keep practicing and see how many more phrases we can use in our conversation. Now that we've practiced giving directions, let's talk about how to ask for clarification when we don't understand something.
That's really helpful, Emma, because sometimes I get lost in conversations and don't know how to ask for help.
Exactly, so one phrase you can use is "could you elaborate on that?" which means to explain something in more detail.
I like that. It sounds very polite and professional.
Yes, it is, and another phrase is "can you break it down for me?" which means to explain something in simpler terms.
That's really useful, especially when talking to neighbors about complex issues like noise levels or shared spaces.
Absolutely, and another phrase that's helpful in these situations is "let's touch base later," which means to meet or talk again at a later time.
I've heard that one before, but I wasn't sure what it meant. Thanks for explaining it.
You're welcome, and finally, let's talk about the phrase "to be on the same page," which means to have a shared understanding or agreement with someone.
That's a great one, especially when trying to resolve conflicts or come to a mutual decision with our neighbors.
Now, let's practice using these phrases in a conversation. And I want you to guess which one is the strongest phrase for building a positive relationship with your neighbors.
That's a tough one. I'm going to take a guess.
The answer is to be on the same page, because it shows that you're making an effort to understand and agree with your neighbors, which can really help to build trust and strengthen your relationships.
That makes sense. I can see how that would be really helpful in a neighborhood setting.
Exactly, and it's a great way to wrap up our conversation about mastering daily conversations with neighbors.
I've learned so much from this conversation. Thanks for sharing your expertise with us, Emma.
You're welcome, Liam, and to our viewers. What's one thing you've learned from this conversation that you can apply to your own neighborhood interactions? Let us know in the comments below. And see if you can use the phrase "to be on the same page" in your next conversation with a neighbor. Can you make it a game changer for your community?